Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture. So today we will discuss fragmentation. Okay, so what do you mean by fragmentation? Why do we need fragmentation? Why fragmentation is good? Why fragmentation is bad? So we will discuss everything in detail. Okay, so here's the scenario. So this is a Windows PC. Okay, and the user is trying to send 5,000 bytes of packet. Okay, all together, and the MTU for this network broadcast domain is 1500 bytes, and MTU for this exit interface for this router is 1000 bytes, and for this router it is 800 bytes to reach the destination PC. Okay, so let's say if fragmentation is not there in the picture, so what will happen? So as per the standard, we can only send 1500 bytes of data in one go. In this 1500 bytes, it includes your IP headers, your TCP header, and your data payload. Okay, so if fragmentation was not there, then if you're trying to send 5000 bytes and the maximum allowed is 1500 bytes, then this packet will be simply discarded by the router. Or let's say you are sending 1500 bytes, but due to some reasons the next hop is only supporting 800 bytes MTU, then your packet will be discarded by the router. To overcome this problem, we have fragmentation concept. So in fragmentation, what does it mean? To divide the packet into the smaller packets so that we can transmit that packet to the next broadcast domain. Okay, so let's say you have this big packet of 5000 bytes, and the next broadcast domain supports 1500 bytes of data. So we will divide this packet into multiple packets to transfer the information, right? And further, the next broadcast domain is supporting 1000 bytes. Then we will divide these packets into 1000 bytes. So it will be 568. Oh, let me rub it. So it will be 56568. So it will go like this only. Okay, and then the next broadcast domain supports 800 bytes. So these 1000 bytes will be divided into 800 bytes, and then your remaining 268 bytes. And these will be transmitted as it is. So this is how this 500 bytes will be transferred from this PC to this PC. So if you calculate the number of packets, so it will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 6, and then 3 more, 9 and 10. So this 5000 bytes packet will be divided into 10 packets to deliver 5000 byte information to this PC. Okay, so how it is working, let's discuss this. So we will first consider the first network broadcast domain, which is supporting 1500 bytes of MTU. Okay, so we will first discuss this network broadcast domain right here. So this PC directly connected with the router R1, and it is supporting 1500 bytes. Okay, so since your data is of 5000 bytes, and as per the standards, your Windows PC is aware of that, we can only transfer maximum 1500 bytes. So the first fragmentation will take place at PC itself. So your PC will divide this 5000 bytes packet into 4 packets: 1, 2, 3, 4. Inside these 4 IP packets, the identification number will remain same. It will be 0x1, 0x1, 0x1. Okay, and for the first packet, do not fragment will remain 0. Second packet, do not fragment will remain 0. Third packet, do not fragment will remain 0. Fourth packet, do not fragment will remain 0. In the first packet, more fragment field will be 1. For second packet, more fragment field will be 1. For third packet, more fragment field will be 1. It is telling that the more fragments are coming. And for the last packet, more fragment field will be 0. And if we talk about the fragment offset, so your offset will start from 0 for the first packet. It is telling that your data is starting from 0. So this is the boundary for the data. And since it can only transfer 1480 bytes, because 20 bytes are of IP header. So the segment size is 0. It will start from 0 and it will end at 1479. So the total size is 1480 bytes. In the next packet, your fragment offset will start from 1480. So the next boundary is 1480 bytes. Right? Similarly, your third packet fragment offset will start from 2960. So your third boundary is 2960. So what I'm doing is I'm adding simply 1480 bytes. Right, so initially it was 0, then I have added 1480 bytes, then I have added 1480 bytes again to this number, so it became 2960. And if I'll add 1480 bytes again, it will become 4440. So for fourth packet it will be 4440, and your last boundary will be 5000 bytes. So it will be 5008 bytes. So I'll tell you why it is 5008 bytes. Okay, what is the reason behind, why we are adding additional 8 bytes, right? So let's go to SSL captures to validate this information. Okay, so you can see that this is the source IP, this is the destination IP. So when I'm trying to ping my destination IP with payload 5000 bytes, so you can see reassembled in 21, reassembled in 21, reassembled in 21. Okay, so your end device is aware that we are receiving fragmented packets. So how it is able to get this information? So if you check the first field, so if we correlate with this packet, so identification is 0x1. So if we check the identification is 0x8080 in our case. Okay, then next one is do not fragment bit is 0. So if you come here and if you see do not fragment is not set, then more fragment is 1. So this field is telling the receiver that this packet has been fragmented and more fragments are coming. Okay, and the fragment offset is 0. So you can see the fragment offset is set to 0 initially. Okay, and you can see data bytes are 1480. So we are transmitting 1480 bytes after removing 20 bytes of IP header. Okay, so this is the first packet. Right, now if I'll check second packet, so you will see again your identification is same, 0x8080. If you double check 0x8080, okay, it is same. Your do not fragment is not set, your more fragment is set to 1, and your fragment offset is 1480. So your second packet is ID will remain same, DF is 0, MF is 1, and fragment offset is 1480. right? And if I check your third packet, so your identification will again remain same. Your DF bit is not set to 1, okay, it is 0. Your more fragment is set to 1, and your fragment offset is 2960. So you can validate this information right here. Okay. Then for fourth packet, which is your last packet, so you can see that identification is still same. DF is 0 and more fragment is 0. So at this point, your receiver will get to know that he needs to reassemble this packet. He needs to reassemble these packets, okay? And your fragment offset would be 4440, okay? 4440, right? So now here you can see 4 IPv4 fragments, 5008 bytes data has been transmitted. So initially we were having 5000 bytes to transmit, but after fragmentation we have increased 8 bytes of data. Okay, so why it is like this? I mean, why 8 bytes have been added in your last packet? So this is your first one, this is second one, this is third one, and this is your fourth one, and it is of 568 bytes. Why it has been increased with 8 bytes? So to answer this, your fragment offset will always be multiple of 8. Okay, so you need to make sure that it is always be a multiple of 8. So if it is not a multiple of 8, it will simply increase the size to make it a multiple of 8. Okay, so now this is the communication between this PC right here and between this router right here. Now this R1, when this will receive these packets and it will start transmitting these packets to the R2. So the maximum transmission unit size is 1000 bytes. So again, R1 needs to fragment these packets. Whatever packet R1 has received from PC, it will fragment the greater packets into the to match this criteria and transmit the packets. Similarly, R2 will fragment the packets, whichever packet is supposed to fragment it. So this process is undoubtedly increasing the CPU cycles for each device. So to overcome this problem, we have path MTU-D. This is your path MTU discovery process. So with the help of path MTU-D, we can get the optimal MTU size before transmitting the data. So if we talk about why fragmentation is good and why fragmentation is bad. So why it is good? To to transmit data between different type of networks. So it can be possible one network is supporting big MTU size, another one is supporting less MTU size, so to communicate between these different types of network, this fragmentation is playing key role here, right? But as we have seen, it has also increased the CPU cycles for fragmentation and reassembling process. So to avoid that, we have path MTU-D in place. So you will hear this term PMTU-D, PMTU discovery. So this protocol is there to discover the optimal optimal MTU in your entire topology from this source to this destination. So how it works? So initially your PCA will send 1500 bytes data by setting DF bit. Okay, when this packet will be received by R1, and R1 will see that the egress interface supports 1000 bytes and the packet which it has received is of 1500 bytes and the DF bit is set which says do not fragment, it will discard this packet and notify the sender that DF bit is set and fragmentation is required. Okay, and it will tell the maximum size is 1000 bytes. So in the very next packet, this PC will send the datagram size of 1000 bytes. Now this PCA will transmit MTU of 1000 bytes. Once this packet will be received by R1, it will check that yes, my egress interface supports 1000 bytes, so it will transmit that packet to R2. Now R2 will check and see again, so DF bit will remain 1, so you are not supposed to fragment this packet. And then R2 will check and see, okay, so my egress interface supports 800 bytes and this packet is of 1000 bytes and DF bit is set, so I cannot fragment this packet, so I need to discard this packet. So it will discard this packet and notify the sender that the maximum transmission unit size is 800 bytes. Since DF bit is set, I'm discarding it, so your destination host is unreachable. Okay, so your packet is not reaching to the destination. So now the PC will initiate the third packet with MTU 800 bytes and it will set the DF as 1. So in this case, when it will be reached to R1 will check, okay, MTU is 800 bytes, yes, it is supported, it will transmit to R2 will see, okay, MTU is 800 bytes, it is supported, it will transmit to the destination PC, your PCB right here. Okay, and you will get the reply from PCB. So throughout this process, your sender will get to know that the optimal MTU between sender A and receiver B is 800 bytes. So whatever fragmentation is to be done, it will be done at PC end only. So your sender will do the fragmentation and it will send the packet size of 800 bytes. Okay, so now we will see how your receiver is reassembling these packets. What if these packets will be received in out of order? So let's say your receiver has received third packet first after fragmentation, then it has received fourth, then it has received second, and then it has received first packet. Okay, so the out of sequence packet have been received by the receiver. So how it will reassemble them all together? So this is your big packet of 5000 bytes. It has been fragmented into 1 2 3 4 packets, and these are the fragment offsets. For first it is 0, for second it is 1480, for third it is 2960, and for fourth is 440. Right, so like I mentioned earlier that this would be your data boundary from where your data is starting for that packet, right? So this would be the receiving buffer. So it will place these place these boundary in the buffer. So let's say it has received third packet first, so third packet data offset would be 2960, fragment offset would be 2960. So it will place this third packet in the buffer right here. Then it has received packet number 4, so the data fragment offset is 4404, so it will place the fourth packet right here. And then it has received second packet, so the offset is 1480, so it will place second here. And then it has received first, offset is 0, so it will place the first packet here. So this is how it will reassemble the packet to extract the actual 5000 bytes information. Okay, so this is how if your out of order packets are being received by the receiver, it will reassemble them properly. Okay, and if you have any doubts, you can post your comments below, and if I'll have time, I'll definitely answer your queries. Okay, and thanks for watching this lecture. Bye bye, take care.